I just watched this show about a gorilla girl, and it actually wasn't that bad. Let's talk about it. Alright, what's up, y'all? Hope y'all are doing well. Back with another romance anime review. Today, we're talking about a show called The Gorilla God's Go To Girl. And at first, I didn't really know what I was expecting with this show, but honestly, it really surprised me. So, we're gonna review and talk about it here today. Again, still trying to do the one video per week grind. The shorts have been coming out a lot. The last 2 weeks, I've uploaded 2 shorts per week. So that's a pretty cool. Shout out to y'all for showing love on the shorts. Got a short last week that got almost like 6,000 views. So shout out to y'all. And once again, we're still on the grind for one full video per week. And be on tune for about next month's videos, because next month's videos we're going to be recapping, because the season that's going on currently in the anime is almost done. All these shows are almost at their 12 episode limit or whatever, and we're gonna start reviewing more of the current romances that are going on right now. So stay tuned for that. And yeah, again, continue to try to do one video per week for y'all. So now let's really get into this show. So again, today's show we're talking about is The Gorilla God's Go To Blessing. It's a romance anime that released during the previous season of romance animes. It was a title that I saw, and being completely 100% honest here, I didn't really care to watch it. I mean, I didn't watch it till literally this week. I wasn't really interested in watching it or whatever. I just thought the title and the thumbnail of the show didn't really appeal to me at all. I thought it was gonna be just some weird, kind of stupid, whatever type of show that I wasn't really gonna care for. But I only watched it because I was like, you know what, I want to watch something. Let's just watch this. Why not? And so I decided to give it a chance. And I wasn't really caring or expecting to really care about it. I expect to be like watch a couple episodes and I'm just like, all right, whatever, and then get bored of it maybe or whatever. But watching this show, I actually didn't find it bad at all. Honestly, I think it was a pretty solid show. I did not expect to really get into it or really care about it, especially with the insane premise of all that. But actually, it kind of hooked me a little bit. I'm not saying it's a perfect show. I'm not saying it's one of the greatest shows ever, but it's actually pretty decent. So we're going to get into the romance of it in a minute. First, let's explain the actual plot of this show. So the main plot of the show is that in this world, once you turn 16, you get chosen for a blessing by a certain animal. In this world, everybody gets blessed with a certain animal, and that's basically predicts how their life is going to go and what powers they get and all that stuff. And when you turn 16, you get a choice. And our main character we have, Sophia Wheeler. She turns 16, she gets the choice, and she gets blessed with the Gorilla God. Apparently the Gorilla God is a very rare blessing to get. She's the only one in the world that has this, and it only comes, I think, about once every 50 years. It's a very, very rare blessing. And at first, she doesn't like it at all, because she wanted to live kind of like a peaceful, normal, quiet life. Doesn't want to be the center of attention, just wants to get in where she fits in, and that's all. But now she gets blessed with the Gorilla God powers, which is the exact opposite of what she wanted. And now she basically has the powers of a gorilla. She runs really fast, she's super freakishly strong, just really overpowered a lot. And it's just kind of crazy seeing this normal girl have all these gorilla powers, and that honestly is one of the reasons at first I was like, how are they gonna make this entertaining, because this just looks really wild. Now all of a sudden her life changes. Now she gets picked up and chosen to take an exam for junior knights and becomes a junior knight, and now her life is basically going in such a different direction than what she thought it was gonna go, and she's super kind of overwhelmed and nervous and kind of like, what am I doing now? This is really weird. She doesn't want anybody to know that she has the gorilla power, because she thinks it's weird and people think it's weird and not fitting for her and make fun of her or whatever. So that's the actual I guess first episode of the plot, the premise of this show. And now getting to the romance, because she does have a romance with Lewis, who is one of the knights. I think he's one of the leaders of the junior knight program that he's in, and he's also very young. He's been the youngest knight ever or whatever. And him and Sophia have a really, really wholesome romance. We're gonna start with the moments first of it. Their first meeting is when Sophia gets lost. She's going to the junior knight exam. It's in a new town, and she gets lost after helping some guy out, and she doesn't know where to go until this guy comes up and helps her out. And Sophia instantly has a little bit of a crush on this guy, thinks he's super, cute or whatever. and this guy Lewis helps Sophia out trying to figure out, where to go for the practice exam. And then later we find out that when Sophia gets to the practice exam, is about to take the test, Lewis is there as the knight. We find out this guy that helped her earlier is actually a really popular knight in Lewis. He's one of the youngest knights ever appointed, and is going to help with the exam, and is super, super cool. Obviously, this takes Sophia, by surprise, and she's like, oh shoot, well, this cute guy he's going to be a knight. So basically, kind of my chances are going to be very slim. But also, Sophia is trying to fail the exam because she's still kind of on the fence and still doesn't really like this whole gorilla blessing and thinks she's ready or cut out to be a junior knight. During the exam, we see her show her powers off, and there's one point where she has to save another guy named Isaac, where they're doing like this rope climbing thing where they gotta like climb down a tall tower, then jump off the tower. I don't know why, but that's just what they have to do. And Isaac's really scared, so he has a pep talk with him, and eventually Isaac almost falls, and Sophia uses her gorilla powers to save his life, basically. And then Lewis takes her to the infirmary because her hands are really messed up. While at the infirmary, Sophia is still kind of gawking at Lewis because of how, cute he is or whatever. And eventually, Lewis grabs onto Sophia's hand for a very long time and just kind of enthralled by her a little bit. Then he realizes what he's doing, he gets embarrassed, and just said he was curious, about her powers and how she was so strong. He then thanks her for saving Isaac's life and also doesn't let her participate in the next event, which is the sword fighting event, because of her hand. A little bit of time later, Sophia gets selected into the Junior Knight program, and while she's at school, it turns out Lewis is there. And it's like, what the heck? Apparently Lewis goes to Sophia's school but doesn't go that often because he has night duty, so he just doesn't really show up to school that often, but he's very, very popular. All the girls are always, trying to get to him, and he's just like the number one guy. Lewis sees Sophia and her friends and goes over to talk to them. They meet up, talk. Sophia has a moment where she tries to shut Lewis up because she doesn't want anybody to know that she's a part of the Junior Knight program. And so she has this little moment with her and Lewis where she tries to cover him up, but because of her freakishly strong powers, she like accidentally buries him into the wall. A little bit later, after they have lunch together, Sophia kind of runs away early because she doesn't like all the attention she's getting. Now that everybody knows that she and Lewis have some sort of relationship and know each other, that after lunch, Lewis goes over and finds her and gives her a muffin to kind of give her a little bit more strength and power because she knows you didn't eat that much at lunch, and also says don't tell anybody, don't tell the other guys because they don't get a muffin. Kind of already showing that Lewis probably has some sort of feeling towards Sophia. Maybe not crush yet, but Lewis has something, that he likes about her. There's another time where Sophia needs to find a hairdresser because she has to fix her hair now for the Junior Knights, and she's trying to find a hairdresser. And then she sees that Lewis is out there. Lewis comes up to her, and Lewis brings her to the hairdresser, someone that he really, really trusts. He ends up paying for her haircut, and eventually after they walk around and they go to a bakery together because Lewis apparently really likes sweets. And so Sophia says, hey, let's go eat some cakes or whatever. It'll be my treat, my payback for you paying for the haircut. While they're sitting down, eating sweets or whatever, she realizes that Lewis is going, there's a big school party, and Lewis isn't going with anybody and is kind of contemplating going. And we find out Lewis is kind of an airhead because a lot of girls are surrounding him, but apparently he just doesn't really think about it like that. Lewis also finds out that Sophia is blessed by the gorilla god. Him more just seeing what she was doing, he's kind of theorized this, and he's realized, oh shoot, are you blessed by the gorilla god? To where Sophia says yes, and then she ended up, keeping the secret for her. Later at the school party, Sophia goes alone and gets bullied by Carissa and some of the other girls that are in her class or whatever. And while she's kind of sad and running away and trying to leave the party, she runs into Lewis. Lewis is there, comforts her, saying like, what's wrong or whatever. And eventually he asks to be her partner because at this point, Carissa told Sophia like, hey, you can't come to this party without a partner. Obviously, that's not a real rule, but that's kind of an unwritten rule. But Sophia takes this as literal, like, oh shoot, I'm literally not allowed this party unless I don't have a partner. So she tells Lewis that, and Lewis is like, oh shoot, I didn't know that either. Okay, let's be partners so we can be at this party. But the whole reason that we find out that Lewis is at this party is because they've heard that someone planted a bomb somewhere in one of the school buildings, and him and some of the other Junior Knights are trying to figure out how, if this is real and where the bomb is placed. I know it gets we go from 0 to 100. And first we're just kind of like, oh shoot, we're trying to figure out what to wear for a party, and now all of a sudden we gotta find a terrorist. While Lewis and Sophia are out together at the party, the bully girls come up and try to, embarrass Sophia in front of him to where Lewis stands up for her. Sophia's dress gets ruined. Louis carries her away to try to find a new dress. Once Sophia gets a new dress, they come back to the party. All the junior knights are together, and she realizes that the partner thing was, again, not real. It's an unwritten rule, but not a real rule. And so she tells Louis, like, oh, I'm so sorry. The partner thing was kind of fake. And Louis is like, that's all right. I don't care. I'm having fun. At this point, we see that they both have some sort of mutual liking of each other, even though they never said, like, fully they like each other. But you can definitely tell, Sophia obviously really likes Louis because, he's cute for one, but also a really nice person. And Louis has something towards Sophia a little bit as well, where he's kind of like always smiling, always likes being around her, has fun with her. So there's definitely something developing here. A lot of things happen at the party where Sophia gets kind of lured away, gets locked into a box, and all this crazy stuff happens. Go watch the show for all of it. Again, like I say in every video, I'm always a big advocate of going to watch the show yourself. I'm just sitting here yapping about different things in the show, my opinions. But if you want like the full context of the story or whatever, go watch the show for yourself. I always recommend going and supporting the original content. Eventually, she's sitting in a room with the moonlight behind her, and it's kind of thinking about everything. And there's a squirrel also there. The squirrel is there kind of being by Sophia's side a little bit. And Sophia kind of opens up a little bit about her interpersonal feelings, talking about Louis. She talks about all the different things she sees in Louis and how she's kind of become attached to him a little bit. And then she ends up confessing her feelings, saying that she likes Louis, telling this little squirrel randomly that she likes him. Kind of a big moment, kind of finally establishing, okay, there are real feelings here from her side. It's not just a little crush or whatever. She actually genuinely likes him. After the party, eventually Sophia saves the day, kicks the bomb into the air, finds it, whatever. Her and Louis don't see each other for a little while. Louis gets very busy with night stuff. He gets sick, and Sophia is not trying to kind of, encroach too much on Louis, because once again, she doesn't want everybody to know that she's a junior knight, for one, and for two, she doesn't like the attention that she gets every time she's around Louis. All the other girls kind of give her the
stink eye,
Eventually, the junior knight squad have to head up to the mountains, and Sophia ends up falling off the mountain in the snow, trying to save one of her junior knight friends. And immediately after she falls, Louis jumps right off after her. Real superhero type stuff. A little later, Sophia finds a cabin where she stays in until, someone finds her, I guess. And she also allows the squirrel from earlier, who somehow has found Sophia in the state, come in as well. They go to sleep, and eventually the next morning she wakes up, but also, surprise, Louis is here, sleeping next to her. It's a big shock, and eventually we learn that Louis is the squirrel. He was blessed by the squirrel god and can transform into a squirrel, and he's been the squirrel that's been by Sophia's side the entire time. Which also means that Sophia telling the squirrel that she has a crush on Louis heard all of that because he's the one that she said it to. Very big awkward moment. Of course, Sophia's super embarrassed because realized, oh shoot, I actually told the guy I like my feelings unintentionally. And then Louis comes out of nowhere. He starts talking. Eventually, Louis confesses that he actually likes Sophia back, saying, when she fell off the mountain, he was so terrified, didn't know what to do. He knew he had feelings somewhere, but didn't really know what those feelings were until he saw her in that state and saw what could potentially happen to her, and his feelings kind of really arose, and he figured out that it's love, which honestly really shocked me. I was like, whoa, did not expect that at all. Like, we see Louis and her being kind of like friendly or whatever, and see Louis smiling a lot with her, but I didn't actually think like we're gonna get a confession scene like that. And this is like episode 6 or episode 7. So this is like halfway through the show, we're getting a confession scene. Sophia says she loves him back after all of this. She says she felt bad when they didn't interact, and she also kind of figured out her feelings right now, so they both confess each other. Then they have an almost kiss before Isaac busts in trying to find Sophia, and Sophia gets so thrown off, she pushes Louis out of the cabin by accident, once again showing off her freakish gorilla powers, and eventually they end up deciding to date. So we've already got more progress in this show than a lot of other romance anime shows. Like, we're halfway through the show and they're already dating. Like, whoa, did not expect that at all. And that definitely, around this part right here, definitely brought my interest high. Like, at this point I was like, okay, this is cool, whatever. That was like, oh shoot, like, let me really lock in, because this show might actually be good. Like, we're already getting them dating halfway through the show. We have like 6 more episodes of them being together. Whoa. After the snow trip, they don't see each other for a while. Once again, both of them get kind of busy. And then there's one day when there's a Christmas party. Louis is there, Sophia's there, And Sophia kind of walks away after seeing Louis surrounded by all these girls because she's obviously jealous and she doesn't want to stand out above everybody else. She walks away, but then Louis ends up going and find her. And they have a little bit of a conversation that gets awkward sometimes because, again, now they're both kind of like together and they both kind of disappoint both their first time being in this type of situation. They don't really know what to do. Louis eventually ends up hugging her, saying he's like done research on what to do in these situations because he's kind of like an airhead a little bit when it comes to this, so he doesn't really know what to do. And it's just really sweet and wholesome. Like, they're both kind of very embarrassed by it, and it's like both of their first love, and it's really, really cute. A little bit later, after the Christmas party, Louis comes to her dorm room late at night, and they're there together, and eventually he ends up giving her a Christmas gift that is a beautiful necklace that Sophia wears around her neck. And in return, she takes him to go eat some more cake because he likes that. That's the only thing we know he likes. He likes cake. While they're there having their little cake dinner or whatever, they talk a lot more. Sophia opens up and tells him that she's jealous of other girls talking to him and all that. And Louis is like, yeah, I understand that. You know, it's just they're all, I don't know, they all like talking to me. I don't know. Again, he's kind of doesn't really understand that all these girls actually like him. He just thinks, oh, they're cool. They're talking to me. That's nice or whatever. But then Louis kind of flips it back on her and says he's jealous of other guys being around Sophia because Sophia now in this junior night squad, obviously she's the only girl, everybody else is guys, she has guy friends or whatever. And Louis kind of gets a little bit, you know, selfish in that regard too. And it's funny to see they both have kind of the same problems, even though it's on very different spectrums, but both of them are jealous about the same exact things. And it's funny to see them both talk it out instead of this just lingering thing going on and on and on. They both are comfortable, able to just talk it out and kind of nip it in the bud right away and both understand, like, hey, you know, we're going to talk to other people. That's just life, you know. We finally get their kiss, which is really, really sweet. But then, after they both try to, like, get up and leave or whatever, little misunderstanding, they trip over each other. Louis ends up on top of her, and then they both go back to their rooms, and that's the end of the night. Next, the junior night squad goes on a camping trip, where everybody's kind of, like, testing their skill sets or whatever with the different captains or whatever. And at one point, there's a scavenger hunt, where all the junior knights, except for Sophia, who doesn't participate because she's so overpowered that she will literally win everything. So all the junior knights get a little piece of paper and they have to find something that equates to what is like on the piece of paper on the scavenger hunt. Everybody's going after something, and Louis ends up being the one grabbing Sophia, taking her to the place where he needs to go, and they end up winning. Then later, after the camp, after they have a little party or whatever, they end up together on the balcony late at night, and Louis says, like, my scavenger hunt, my thing to find was something I wanted to protect for the scavenger hunt. So he goes into this little thing about, yeah, I know you protect me all the time because of your powers or whatever, but I want to be there to protect you and want to keep protecting you, and kisses her on the hand. Another really, really sweet, wholesome moment. Both these characters both are like super sweet and wholesome to each other, and it's super, super cute. You know, you're seeing Louis kind of open up a little bit more because at first he's kind of like the knight, the strong knight or whatever, but you can tell he has a soft side. He's mostly a soft side, you know, and just seeing him open like up like that to Sophia is really cool. There's another moment where they end up going out in the town for a date, and they go a lot of places. They go dress shopping, go to the hairdresser, bakery, shopping for ingredients. It's a really nice night on the town. Eventually they end up going back to Louis's house, who he lives alone, and Sophia ends up cooking for him. After they have dinner, they sit on the couch, they talk about the gift, you know, the necklace or whatever, but Louis kind of gets sad because he's like, dang, I feel like the only way I can make you happy is with gifts. But Sophia kind of says, like, no, like, I love you for who you are. Don't even think about that. Again, nipping it in the bud right away. It's like, there's a little problem. No, there's not. You know, I love you for who you are. I don't care about the gifts or whatever. They end up kissing again, and it looks like things are going to go a little bit farther than that. But Louis recognizes that she gets overwhelmed a little bit, and so he stops and is like, all right, I'll walk you home. You can definitely tell. I was like, oh, sure, are they actually going to go far? Because Louis definitely is the one that's always, like, touchy and ready to make the first move. But Sophia was kind of like, I don't know. This is the first time, obviously, and Louis respected her wishes and was like, okay, I'm not going to do that. Let's go home. We fast forward a lot later to the final, big scene where there's a big fight or whatever. There's this guy named Leohart who runs this kind of group that's been attacking the kingdom, and now they're kind of like taking over and doing all these different things. We're going to a final battle, and Sophia is battling Leohart, trying to, you know, fight for whatever. And when it looks like Sophia's gonna lose and Leohart is going to kill her and gonna win the fight, Louis gets up because Louis fought Leohart earlier and got destroyed apparently. We didn't see an actual fight, but we just saw, you know, it looked like Leohar was basically ended Lewis. But Lewis gets up out of nowhere and fights for Sophia. Even says like, I'll always be her knight, always be there to protect her, and sticks up for her in a really cool moment. Then later, Lewis eventually ends up getting a plan, and Sophia returns the favor. Sophia fights, even though she has nothing really left, to hold off Leohar while Lewis turns into a squirrel and does his plan. Eventually ends up dropping the chandelier on Leohar, and that ends the fight. The last scene we see of both of them is Lewis graduating, becoming a royal knight, and eventually he actually tells what he wants to do and his plans in the future to Sophia, saying that he wants to end up eventually join the Royal Guard and become the headmaster. But during this, he says he needs to also train hard and keep up with Sophia because Sophia has the gorilla blessing, she might end up becoming the headmaster anyway because they want that power. He wants to be by her side, get more powerful, and wants Sophia also to follow, not actually saying like, hey, you should follow my goals, but kind of encouraging Sophia to go far. And at first she's kind of like, I don't know, but then she's like, you know what, it's for you. Let's go. Like, we'll work hard. I'll be a knight with you, and we'll, go on this journey together. And that's basically how it ends. Wasn't expecting this type of romance from this show, because from all the things that leading up to them eventually getting together and all that stuff, it's definitely kind of felt like a harem show, but like a reverse where it's like the girl, then there's a bunch of guys, But to see them eventually end up dating, and we see them actually being together and see their wholesome, cute moments is really cool. And it made this show super like, oh shoot, it wasn't a road I was expecting to go down, but it was a really nice road, and it made the show so much better instead of just it being like what we thought it was going to be, where I was just like, it's going to be all these guys trying to go after this one girl, and they're all going to try to fight, and she's going to maybe not lead all them on, but they're going to have moments with all of them, and it's like, oh shoot, who's going to win in the end? Or I was thinking while watching this, I was like, all right, who's going to win in the end? And it obviously looked like it was going to be Lewis, but I didn't expect it to go down this road, and it actually made it so much better because at the end we didn't really have to focus a bunch on the romance of it. Then we could start focusing more on the actual storylines of like, Leohar and these other people, and focus on everything else in the kingdom. We didn't have to worry about just this little, love square that could go on or whatever. And it really made it super nice. And Lewis and Sophia are so wholesome towards each other, and they're so like right fit for each other. But like I said, there's other guys in this show, and again, I thought it was going to be a harem at first, and I thought it was going to be a love square, because there's two other guys that are in the play for Sophia that eventually don't end up winning, but both of them like Sophia in their own way, and we're going to talk about those two other guys here too. First guy we're going to talk about is Isaac. We see him early on. He's a part of the junior knight exam. He's very confident at first, big legs, very, athletic guy. But our first thing we see with him and Sophia is when they're on the top of the tower, and Isaac has a fear of heights, and he's like, I don't know if I can do this. And Sophia is the one that comes up to him and tries to motivate him by saying, hey, like, it's okay, we got this, if you want, I'll go with you to jump off the building or whatever. And Isaac immediately gets like attached a little bit right away. While they're going down the rope, Isaac's rope harness falls, and it looks like he's gonna fall to his death off the building, but Sophia ends up saving him, and eventually Sophia and him both fall, and Sophia's gorilla blessing instincts take over, and she basically saves Isaac's life, to where Isaac once again becomes super attached to her. And when she's going to the infirmary or whatever, he's like, oh my god, are you okay? Like, thank you so much for me. And then even when she comes back, he's the first one to be there, like, hey, are you okay, or whatever. And then she ended up walking back home together after the exam, and they save another guy named Eddie, who we're going to talk about in a little bit. Eventually we learn Isaac has the dog blessing, which makes so much sense, because when you see the character and you see what he does, he is literally the golden retriever type of guy. Like, literally exactly what you think of when you think of golden retriever as a person. That's who Isaac is. Eventually Isaac and Eddie transfer to Sophia's school, and Isaac's the first one that notices Sophia and calls out to her in school, like, hey, what's up, what's going on, or whatever. And it's super kind of like, again, kind of not really thinking too much about it, just like, oh, that's Sophia, oh my god, hi. He's also the one that calls out to her when they're at lunch together, and sees Sophia's like, hey, come eat with us. When they're at the first school party, when all of them are together trying to figure out who planted the bomb or whatever, and Sophia learns that the partner thing wasn't actually real, and is talking to Lewis about it. Lewis like, that's okay. Isaac's like, oh, well, if that's okay, hey, Sophia, you should be my partner next year for next year's party. Not really saying it in a way of like trying to get in there and flirt, more of kind of like a, oh shoot, that's a good idea. Next you think you'd be my partner. But it was still a moment. And he's also the one when Lewis and Sophia confess their feelings to each other in the cabin. He's the one that busts through the door, and he was the one that used his dog senses to try to find Sophia, showing how much he cares about her. He's also the one that invites Sophia to the Christmas party. With the Christmas party everyone was having, he was the one that came up to her and was like, hey, you should come to this party, or come over here, or whatever. And he's the one that brought her to the Christmas party. And while at the Christmas party, him and Sophia end up being alone together. He gives Sophia a scarf for Christmas, and you can see he builds up the courage that he wants to ask Sophia out on a date, but couldn't really manage to, and eventually ends up getting friend zoned. This is our first time seeing, like, oh shoot, Isaac actually likes Sophia. He's not just like being super nice to her, he actually likes her. Eventually Isaac also has a daydream where he goes on a date with Sophia, where they go out on the town dress shopping, playing with puppies. They have an almost kiss before he snaps back into it. During the camping trip, when they're having the scavenger hunt, his piece of paper was someone he can't leave alone, and immediately went for Sophia. He also ruins another moment between Lewis and Sophia, where after the training camp they're on the balcony talking together, and he's there and kind of ruins that moment. He's also the one that tries to help Sophia in the Lionheart fight, but eventually gets washed up. And at the end, when Sophia wakes up after the Lionheart fight, after all that time, he's the first one there to greet her. Not too many crazy moments for Isaac, but again, you see the dog tendencies there. He's always the one right there for Sophia whenever she needs someone. He's always the one right there, ready to greet her, ready to help her, ready to ask her about things. You know, because what Sophia did, basically saving his life, he became super attached to Sophia. And while, you know, Isaac, I think, if, let's say, Isaac and Sophia were the ones going together, it'd be really cute. Because, again, Isaac's super hyper, kind of like energy, and Sophia kind of trying to be like the quieter one. It would be very interesting to see. I feel like it'd be a super wholesome, you know, relationship where everything would just be like, you know, sunshine and rainbows or whatever, and nothing, you know, when bad things happen. It would be very interesting to see how that would work between those two. But overall, Isaac is really funny and a really, you know, good guy. And our other man on this journey is Eddie. Eddie's also there during the junior night squad exam, and when Sophia and Isaac are walking the way home, he's the one that they both save from random guys. Eddie's the one that eventually ends up explaining Sophia's powers to her, talking about, oh man, you can run at this type of kilometers, you know, basically tries to explain to Sophia and everybody else why this gorilla power is so OP. He's also the one that really understands Sophia. He's a little bit of a smarter one, where when Isaac is the one that's always like, hey Sophia, hey, and trying to make everything obvious, he's the one that's kind of like, I saw that, but don't make it obvious. Like, he just doesn't like to make things obvious, understands when Sophia tells him, hey, don't talk about my gorilla power. He's like, okay, that's cool. Like, he's always the quiet, but also understands where Sophia's coming from. Also, after Sophia changed to a new dress for the first original school party, he's the one that ends up doing her makeup and her hair for her, saying like, hey, you gotta look better, you know, and I guess somehow has a makeup degree somewhere because he did his thing. During the Snow Mountain trip, Eddie's there and he gets really sick. You could tell he's very off of it, and he almost ends up falling off the mountain, but Sophia saves him to where she eventually ends up falling off the mountain for him. During the Christmas party, he's the first one to give Sophia a gift where they're alone eating together, and he gives her a hair accessory of Christmas, and you could tell there's something there because Sophia's like, why'd you give me this? And he was like, because. And doesn't really want to explain why. You could tell it's because he likes her in a certain way, but just doesn't want to say it. After Isaac has his daydream story, we learn from Eddie's side why he likes Sophia. It's because there's an incident where he was sitting alone under a tree but with a cat, and Sophia came over and they were just talking together, a really nice talk, and that, I guess, moved him in a way. When Sophia and Leohart are fighting together, he comes in with a bunch of the other flight team squad, and, you know, because he has really good accuracy, and tries to kill Leohart. At the end, because he's the only one that we didn't know what his blessing was. He said when we first met him, like, I'm not going to tell you guys what my blessing is. He reveals that he is the cat blessing, which makes so much sense for his character because he's always super kind of like, I don't want to say mean, but he's always super snappy sometimes. We never see him really happy. He kind of very much is like a cat with his personality, and him being the cat and Eddie being the dog makes so much sense. At the end, Eddie probably has like the least amount of moments, maybe a little bit with Sophia, but I really liked him as a character. He was always the one that was like the smart one, always the one that was kind of like down to earth, understood what things needed to be done. And if he was the one that won, him and Sophia, it'd be a very interesting relationship. Like, I feel like it definitely wouldn't be as like like what I said about Isaac, it'll probably be the opposite, where I don't want to say it would be a dark relationship. Thinking about it, it probably would be very wholesome at the end, because Eddie probably would like not try to publicly, he wouldn't be the one to say I love you that much, but he'll just show it in different ways. And Sophia probably would have to like tease him a lot for him to open up, and that would honestly make for some pretty funny scenarios too. But finally, at the end of the day, overall, again, wasn't expecting that much out of the show. Like when I first came into it, I thought the premise was kind of crazy, and I was wasn't really expecting to care about it at all. You know, like even making this video, I didn't expect to make a full video out of this. I made a short about it, but that was probably all I was expecting. And then after watching the show, I was like, dang, I have a lot of thoughts about this. I kind of want to make a full video about it. So that's the video I'm making this week. And it really surprised me. Like coming in, I honestly thought it was going to be like a 3 out of 10. Like I didn't really care about it. It was whatever. Again, like there's going to be a bunch of guys after one girl, and it's going to be kind of like weird or whatever. If you know, I'm not really a big fan of like the harem type of shows or trope or whatever. But we end up seeing like a really good story with really wholesome romance. You know, we get some fight scenes. We see this character who at first didn't want to have this certain power, figure out how to use her power, figure out her purpose in life. We see some solid storytelling. We see a lot of interesting things going on in the show. And overall, it was something at the end where I was like, that's solid. Like I would give it like a 7 to 6-ish out of 10. Like it was better than expected and better than average. You know, it was solid. Like, so shout out to everybody making this, whoever this show, whoever made it. It was really, really good, a lot more than expected, and that shows you kids, like, don't judge a book by its cover. Go in and actually watch it first before you make your opinions about it. Great romance in this show as well. Again, didn't expect us to see like actual like kiss scenes and like dating couple. Like didn't expect that, but it was really, really good. So overall, I give this show about 1 good thumbs up. That's all I got for today. Hope you guys enjoyed it. Again, we're trying to do the 1 full video for a week. The shorts are coming out. I don't know if we're gonna get 2 shorts a week every week, but we're gonna see what we can do, you know. And like I said earlier, the current season that's going on in the romance anime, or in anime in general, is now like finishing up. So we're gonna have more romance reviews from the current shows that are actually going on. I've already like kind of figuring out what shows I want to watch first or whatever. And I'm very excited because I think there's a couple of solid shows I'm gonna like in this, you know, new season, but we're gonna see what happens. If you do like the video, hit the like button. You know, I'd really appreciate it. Leave a comment down below too about the show, or about the romance, or about whatever you want. It helps out the algorithm, so leave a comment, I guess. And if you do like the content around here, hit subscribe button. You know, I'd appreciate it a whole lot. If you like romance anime, you like hearing me yap about romance anime, want to keep up to date about some romance anime or whatever, then, you know, hit subscribe button. I really appreciate it. Also, go check out my main channel, Everyday Hoops. Talk about basketball over there, literally the exact opposite of what we do over here. That channel's been popping up recently, so if you like basketball, if you know someone likes basketball, then let them know about the channel. Down below is in the description. And yeah, I'll see you guys later. Peace.